My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We're going to be doing a weekly collective today. If this is your first time here, you're in for a treat. I think you guys picked a really great topic this week. We're going to be looking at the energy of a chrysalis, which is a form of transformation for a butterfly. And with this energy of transformation that we'll be looking at today, it's going to be really sort of impactful and important to allowing us to step into everything. So just want to check in with you because I saw that there was a little bit of a delay at the beginning. Hopefully you can all hear me. Yes. I'll introduce myself one more time. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. And again, the topic today is Chrysalis, stepping into a new you. And we're going to be looking at the next week ahead. This is very kind of cool the way this has worked out over the past half year, but every weekend I look at 7 days, and then I'm going to kind of walk you through the overall organization of this, and we'll get started. So I like to begin with channeled messages. Today, the channeled messages are going to be surrounding a chrysalis and a couple of dream messages that came through. So that's what I was writing while you guys were asking, are we starting? And I said, yes. So channeled messages first, that's me connecting to dreams, to spirit, and to also the research that I've done here. Then we'll look at 7 days ahead from Sunday to Sunday. Then we'll move on to some blessings and blocks. I usually will then look at the elemental breakdown, earth, air, water, fire, etc. And then I will throw a question out to you to vote on based on what I'm looking at. So we'll do a viewer's choice poll live today. And then after that, we will get into the special topic. And the special topic, again, is really the energy of that final step of change. A chrysalis is a fancy word for the outer shell. We'll be looking at it in a second, but it's that shell that you have to kind of like break through. So I've been putting different forms of this up for you guys to vote on. And this particular one seemed to gel the most because it definitely is like death and transformation, but it's the final phase of breaking through. So I think it was easier for many of you to kind of, you wanted to look at that more the breakthrough than going into it, but more to come in a second here. We'll always end with a meditation and a final card at the end. I don't take questions live, but I will take at the very end an opportunity for all of us to look at a final question and meditate on it, and I'll pull a card for that. Welcome, everybody. If you just joined, perfect timing. A couple of quick notes on how I work. Like I said, no questions, but if you'd like to show support, you can do that by clicking on this icon here, the little $sign. From there, you can become a channel member, which gives you voting privileges. And also, like I just did a Q&A for the milestone that we hit here on the channel, subscriber milestone. So when I do something special like that, I open it up to questions from supporting members. So if you want to join, you can join. If you'd like to give back a little bit, just like AB did, you can do this. At the very end, I will say thank you. But in the middle, I don't interrupt the flow just because it's easier for me and it's easier for you if I don't. Please do help me continue to grow and hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you like what you see here. No pressure, of course, but it is a free way to show support and it helps a lot. It helps with discovery. If you miss anything that I've covered here today, you can always check it out on social media. When there's time changes like there were today, you can also check on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook to see if I'm live and when I'm live. And on replay, you can show thanks here. So let's get into everything today. I have two moderators, by the way, Dakota and Maria. They'll be able to answer any high-level questions today if you have them. Welcome to the new channel members as well. Now we're going to get into the spirit totem. I read totems. Totems are just things that appear in nature as a way for, it's like an addition to the tarot or to the any of the oracle cards that we might all use day to day. There are signs and symbols all around us. We don't have to just use sort of these arbitrary cards. So I've kind of expanded my tool set to look at nature in general. And because you chose this today, I really wanted to focus on the chrysalis. I think there's more than enough today just to look at what a chrysalis is. And so let's define it if that's going to be the topic today. There's two different parts of it going into it. Cocoon and chrysalis are two different things, by the way. A cocoon is what a moth goes into, and it usually has silk. But a chrysalis is what a butterfly goes through. So we're going to look at that real quick here. So let me just get the screen back because I accidentally got out of it. All right. So as you can see here, these are the phases of going into it. You see a caterpillar right up there that has started to hang upside down. That's going to be important. And starts to create this hardened shell around it where it's going to transform into a butterfly. And then in this next phase, we can see what happens as it starts to come out of the chrysalis. It's a pretty interesting process. It can take a few weeks. It can take a month. It depends on the species, but we're going to focus less on the timing and more on what's going on before, during, and after, because I think that's going to be really important for today. So beautiful, though. I've happened to see this once or twice in my life, either going into or coming out of. It's really cool to watch the insects do it. Plus, you can look at it on YouTube. There's some great videos. All right, so I always like to start with like what even a word means, because I thought chrysalis is kind of a complicated word. Where did it come from? It's a Latinized form of the Greek word khrysos, which means gold or golden colored. It can also have connotations of money. So I think that's a really important piece here, because when we're looking at change and growth, the solar plexus is going to play a part of this, and that golden color is kind of associated with that. So for some of you, there could be power dynamics that you're going through here. So it could be birthing, regaining power, or kind of trying to let people see your power as well, kind of trusting yourself here, standing your ground, all of that. And for some of you, even with parents, particularly like your mother or your father, that solar plexus can definitely be connected to the limits that they impose on you, the doubts that they project toward you, your own ability to sort of be yourself, all of those things, okay? To me, I think a chrysalis is one of the more magical things, magical metamorphoses or transformations that you see in nature. So I think it's great that you chose it today for us to look at. It's connected to the Hanged Man. As we see here, I'm gonna pull this back. The caterpillar starts by hanging upside down, creating a little bit of an anchor, and then starting to create that outer shell. So let's see if we can get a little closer in on this one. So you can see it here if I bring it closer again, hanging upside down and then creating that shell. So literally is the Hanged Man. If we go back to the Hanged Man's story in tarot, it's Odin hanging upside down from the tree of knowledge so that he could gain understanding of the runes. It took time. He left that as a different person with all these sort of alchemic symbols that could sort of like give him more power. So it's an empowering moment. Some of you may be needing to go into this pause or change period where you want things to happen faster, but there's a little bit of a wait. So either you've gone through that or you're about to go through it, but it's important not to rush it. You can't interrupt this process of chrysalis or else the animal would die. So we have to kind of like allow for the proper changes to go through, or you have to restart it. So whether you wish you could speed things up or you want things to stay the same, you're kind of like happy, no, I don't want anything to change. It looks like there's still a two-part process, which is currently underway. The Hangman, as we just talked about, is step one, and it's a chance to pause and catch your breath. This is a good thing sometimes for those of you that might have been really used to working nonstop. A lot of us already went through this Hanged Man period when we were in the more difficult periods of COVID where everything shut down or was delayed. So we had to kind of like regroup. But we also have like little moments throughout our lives. It doesn't take a pandemic to have something like that happen. So you may be at a point right now where there's another pause or there's another moment where you wish things would happen, but everything's not connecting right now. Don't worry. Don't be hasty if that's happening. And if you are kind of really comfortable and everything's okay, also always plan for what might happen if there was a shift or a change. This is basically about making sure that you're not too comfortable or not too uncomfortable, because change is about to happen. Divine timing is at play. Synchronicities are incoming. You have to be awake, aware, and open to them, however, to see them, right? In the Hanged Man phase, we also get a chance to learn, understand, incorporate, and discover. Very much like the Hermit, you have to kind of go within. What many of you are going to have a difficult time doing is once it's time to make the change, there's this breaking free of the chrysalis here. You're at that final part of transformation where just like the newly formed butterfly has to get out of that shell. So let's say for some of you, this could be like graduation is a great example. You've gone to school for X amount of years and now it's time to graduate. But once you go on that stage and get the symbolic kind of paperwork or whatever they're doing now, because it's probably virtual in many places, but once you've finally gotten the letters before or after your name to show what you've done, again, the change has happened, but has it happened? Do you feel it here? Do you feel it here? Are people around you recognizing it? That's the sort of shell that you have to break through. Some of you are trying to push through other things here. It could be an external barrier of your own making, right? So this could be something where you thought, I can't do it, I won't do it, this will never happen. It takes courage, basically, to get through this phase and push through. Don't give up now when you have that hard inner work that's already been done. You've actually earned this opportunity, and fear would love to have you step back and not have this happen. The outer shell can also represent pushback from external forces, even if they're well-intentioned. You know, I was just watching a movie last night where, because it was on one of the streaming services, it was called Coco, about Day of the Dead. And the whole thing, it was about a kid that was just trying to make his family happy, but no one was thinking of his better good. And a lot of us spend a lot of time in our own lives trying to make everybody happy. Your boss, your sister, your brother, your friends, society. But guess what? At the end of the day, you may succeed at that, but it's an empty Six of Wands. So you need to push through some of their illusions, push through some of your feelings of duty when it's really not sometimes, and get to what you're supposed to be doing here. So what this could mean is overcoming bias, doubt, bigotry, fear, jealousy, any or all of these. But you can do it, and you will prevail on this because your soul has already set you up to succeed on this. The butterfly is actually the maybe the most fun, but also the scariest piece for many of you, because it's all of these things together: the death, the tower, and the world kind of combined. Because you've changed, you've accepted it. Judgment would be in there too. You're going to spread your wings. Movement is the key thing. So some of you are pausing and you're supposed to be learning. Some of you are being tasked with moving, but you want to stay still. So I think the biggest thing this month is surrendering, letting go, and just allowing something to come through, right? So like a baby bird, it's time to leave the nest, right? And for some of you, I also put begin again, because you're really not, this is a rebirth, not sort of like an initial birth. But for some of you, there's this fear of what's next, what's out there. I kind of had an interesting analogy a couple programs ago here where I was talking about like emptiness versus empty nest. So sometimes when we leave the nest behind, we worry like, will we be okay? And sometimes when someone has left the nest, like maybe it could be a child or someone that we loved, but we've helped them get to the next phase, then you get to put the energy back on you. So whether you're the baby bird leaving the nest, or whether you're the mama or papa bird in the nest, sort of wondering now what, you created that, you can still create things for yourself. So it's time for you to symbolically go through that birth. Mixing metaphors because we had the egg, but you get what I'm saying here. It's all about putting the energy back on yourself if you've been helping others. And if it's time to kind of step free of that, you can do this, okay? Either way, the time is now. Fun fact, which I've mentioned before when I've talked about butterflies, but in the chrysalis phase, I've done some research, and some scientists now think that the brain of the caterpillar survives. Some of the memories, some of the neural connections survive. So ostensibly, theoretically, they could have memories of when they were a caterpillar, when they're a butterfly. This is interesting because in reincarnation, we kind of lose the memories on purpose. If you ever wondered why we come through as an amnesiac in this lifetime, it's so that we can face obstacles with an inner knowledge, but not so much of like this, you don't want the whole, if we had to deal with everything, it would be overwhelming. Imagine meeting someone in a past life that, you know, stole from you, or that you really, really loved or really, really hated, had all this sort of intense energy. You wouldn't be able to look at them in a new light. So basically, the fact that in our own lifetimes, we have a hard time letting go, I think that's one of the key barriers, and also maybe the key in general to you being able to step into the new thing, is to let go of the thoughts of the past. And so try to see someone in a different light. Have they changed? Have I changed? Has the situation changed? So objective versus subjective point of view. So we get the objective point of view because we've lost some of the baggage. We keep the core third eye connection, and we feel certain things like, I should talk to this person, or this person's trouble, or I better not do this. That's the subtle energy coming through when we reincarnate. But in our own lives, it's harder because we know everything. We have the history. And so you're going to have to work a little bit to get past the baggage that you have in this lifetime, because you have a chance to really push through something right now. And that's why the Chrysalis energy was chosen by all of you, I believe. Okay. So sometimes it's hard to see the changes that you've made. Sometimes it's hard for others to see the changes that you've made. Either way, whether you can't see it or they can't see it, it's still there. So it's just a matter of trust and moving forward. Okay, let's move on to some other messages, but beautiful things coming through with the butterfly. Again, one of the best symbols for reinvention, rebirth, and it can be connected to so many cards. For sure, the Hanged Man, something that I hadn't quite seen before. We always think transformation, but the transformation doesn't happen unless the pause happens. So I would say they are absolutely connected and are necessary components. So Hanged Man and death and rebirth. But then, of course, within this, there could also be the Hermit, self-discovery, judgment, being born again, and then the world, expansion, spreading your wings. So they're big major arcana cards, some of the best. I think the Tower could be spread somewhere in the middle of all of this, but it's really the Tower reverse, which is you deciding what to do and making the change happen. So change is everywhere, and it's going to be really interesting to take a look at all of the different spreads that I do today to see how change is going to be a part of it. All right, now for some specific dream messages that came through, because I also receive messages, not just through meditation or the research that I do here, the automatic writing, but also through dreams. So in one of my dreams, I was shown a quick flash of you taking the shirt off your back and giving it to someone else. There was no fear. It wasn't a weird situation. It was just sort of like, let's get something else and you take this one. To me, that is a chance for you to pay it forward, a fancy way of just saying help someone else out the way you were maybe helped out one time. You may also be the recipient of that kind of generosity. So you might be receiving a helping hand. So if you need help and it's incoming, receive it with gratitude. If you have more than enough, lend something to someone else and let them have the help that you once received. It's really nice to get that helping hand when you need it, if you've ever been at that point in your life. And if you can give it and someone's really happy about it, it's also very fulfilling just to be able to help someone. So some sort of paying it forward or receiving of energy that you need, I'm picking up on that. You might be giving away some clothes that you didn't wear. Maybe some of you have shifted jobs and you have a lot of formal wear and you could give it to someone, donate it to some charity, etc. It could be literal. It could also be figurative. The next thing was really interesting. So if you've ever gone shopping, and I think most of us have, you've seen those scanners that you either the supermarket person will scan an item or they pull it across something and there's sort of like this laser that reads a barcode. It was almost like someone was doing a quick scan of you. And this is interesting because they're going to be reading your self-worth, I would say, because what are you looking at with that? With when you see an SKU, a SKU code, it's usually sort of like your brand, your price, category, all of that stuff. So this metaphor of scanning you is sort of the universe asking you, what do you stand for? Like, what's your brand? How much do you value yourself? Good self-worth, or are you undervaluing yourself? And are you ready for this? Are you ready for this sort of transactional energy? Because it was about moving. So this to me is not a bad thing. I do think that one thing that you want to look at is paperwork and financial documents, because scanning can also be sort of like auditing or checks and balances. But the more I think about it, I really think that it's a chance for the universe to check in with you and say, where do you stand? Who are you? What are you looking for? Etc. Okay. And this one is actually probably going to make it to the list of things that we can look at in the future. But I was shown like the lost and found, or basically when, whenever you've gone to a restaurant or to a merchant and you leave something behind, a lot of times they just put it in a box to wait and see if you come back. So there's this big quote unquote lost and found. So I was shown a lost and found box. So I feel like something that you've looked at in the past is coming to you again, but in a different form. So for some of you, the lost and found is more like an 8 of cups, 6 of cups, sort of star-like energy where it's a past love or family member that's coming back in this lifetime in a different form, since we're looking at Chrysalis. It could also be an opportunity lost, but now you get a different opportunity that offers you some of the same benefits. It's not a one-for-one. It's not a facsimile. But it's going to have some sort of a familiarity with it. So they showed me the metaphor of a lost and found box, but then I was given the additional detail that it's probably not what you expect, but you'll be able to feel like this feels like home, this feels familiar, this feels right. So that's what you want to trust, okay? So there you go. Some beautiful messages from Spirit today. Thanks to you, because as I was tuning in, I'm like, I really just want to talk about the chrysalis today. It's a word that we've heard before, but I wanted to sort of like go a little deeper so you understood what it was, what the root of the word was, what it could mean for us. Some fun facts as I'm stacking up these cards. Sometimes when the butterfly emerges, there's still some nutrients there. Sometimes it even eats its own chrysalis. So I want you to know that it feels like whatever barriers you put around you, you did it for your own growth and so that you could take care of yourself, but you can just as easily break it down the same way that, and when it does, it's going to feel better. You'll be reclaiming some of your energy because it takes a lot of energy to put that wall up. So I think the biggest opportunity for a lot of you is letting go, releasing and surrendering, right? So again, if you missed any of these, I always post a snapshot on the community page here on YouTube. You can just go to the main channel and there's a little community tab. I will also put it on my website, Instagram, and on Facebook. Quick note on social media, as I'm getting set up here for the 7-day forecast. Someone was impersonating me again on Instagram. It seems to happen like at least once a month, sometimes twice a month. When this sort of thing happens, just a reminder, first of all, they swapped the names around. I would never put my last name first. There were no followers on it. And usually these people message you and ask for stuff. I don't do that. So the only way to interact is live in chat, either here or on Instagram, but I would be doing a live and you'd be seeing my mouth move and you know that it's happened and I announce the dates that I'm going live. So ignore people if they're trying to connect with you in chat. It's not me. I'm not offering readings right now for private clients or anything. I'm pretty much booked up. So if anyone's saying I have an open spot, etc., that's not me. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at the 7-day forecast going from Sunday to Sunday. Just make sure Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, great. I think this is called Spirit Within. It's an unusual deck where it's all silhouettes. It just felt like the right thing to use for this forecast. Okay, so today's a great day. As we're looking at the energy coming through for today, this is about you deciding, like the interesting thing with the pentacles, it can also be sort of like an egg or a seed or birth, basically. What I like with this is it's telling me that if you're ready to give, receive, or move forward on something, the universe is literally kind of giving you an open door here. So this can be an opportunity for work. It could be an invitation to a party. It could be someone that's interested in spending time with you. This can be a proposal, like at business and also in marriage. Something's being offered. Are you ready to receive? If you want to put something out into the universe, it's also a great time to get that going. I know it's not necessarily a work day everywhere right now because here, depending on your time zone, for many of us, it's still Sunday. But you know, this would be putting in the sort of like all of the planning and paperwork. So this is a really good time to be productive. And if it is evening, I know a lot of you in Europe, it's evening time. So you could be planting the seeds for a really good tomorrow. Part of the way that you would manifest something great is to say, you know, today may have not been the best day, but I really feel optimistic about tomorrow. I'm going to do this, this, and this. I'm going to get everything ready for tomorrow. A lot of times before I have a big reading, I'll get the cards that I want to use. I'll figure everything out so that I can just kind of like feel really good when I wake up. So do something like that to make sure that you put all of your ducks in a row and you have all of the tools ready. You lay out your outfit for the next day, whatever it takes for you to feel comfortable. Put that in, do a little bit of work. It's going to be worth it, even if it is like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or really early. I know for those of you in Australia, it's like 4 or 5 in the morning. So you can just decide, all right, what am I going to do later today? I'm going to make my list. So if it's already the new day, Sunday has passed, but you can still kind of pull some of that energy of planning in, no problem. And for many of you that ask, Sunday's always Sunday. You don't read it as Monday. So if it's already passed, then what you could look at is, what did I learn yesterday? What did I want to do? How can I make the most and take that and move it forward? You got a good idea. Aces are always great when it comes to ideas or beginnings, okay? Looking now at tomorrow, Monday, or for some of you, again, in different time zones, this may be now. But Monday's energy, we have the Knight of Swords in reverse. Don't be afraid to get out there and say what you need to say. This knight is fearless. He's not riding a horse, but he's actually walking on foot and going forward and saying, all right, this is what I need to do. This is how I'm going to do it. I actually really like pages or knights reverse because they have just the right amount of diplomacy versus getting straight to the point. So I think that's going to be your key, is walking the fine line between saying what you need to say and then also being mindful of others' opinions and others' feelings. So you don't have to overdo it, make it too saccharine or too sweet. There actually will probably be a benefit in brevity. So little bit of an exchange and then getting things done. Really good day for editing, for writing, any sort of hands-on work. This day is going to be great. It is more revisionary in nature. It feels like you might be moving things around or fixing things up, or like a puzzle, you shift it around, you're like, that fits there, perfect. So this is more of that kind of reorganization and finishing something or editing something. But I like what I see here. Overall, pretty good. Okay. Moving on to Tuesday, we have the King of Pentacles, and it feels like some of you are just ready to take a break. This is a you day. So the King of Pentacles, especially when he's reversed, is sort of like, what can I do to reflect, to repair, to restore? And also, is there something that have I been putting so much out externally for someone else that there's not much left for me? If so, this is your day to just kind of lounge back a little bit and relax like this guy is. I think the other thing for you, if you're a boss, a parent, or a manager, there could be someone in your life that maybe isn't working as hard as they need to. So it could also be a motivational question, like, how can I get this person to pick up the pace a little bit? And for yourself, maybe you've lost the thrill. The thrill is gone. And there's this question of, why am I doing this again? So a little bit of soul searching coming through on Tuesday. Spend some time and some energy to just take care of you. Okay. I think that's going to be really important. There could be some resources that you decide to reallocate. I typically don't look at this as a negative card when we're talking about you, but when it's someone else, it could be a person around you that has a hard time sharing or doing what they need to be doing. They're thinking more of themselves. So you'd want to kind of frame something up so that they could see why it's in their best interest to really give back and to support you and to support others. Looking at Wednesday, it's a really nice day, actually. We've got the Three of Cups, and this is a very playful Three of Cups. So some of you may decide to hang out with somebody that you haven't seen in a while. There could be some good news incoming, a reason to celebrate. It's a reminder also to celebrate life's little victories. It doesn't have to be literally going out on the dance floor and drinking and having a good time. It could just be looking and saying, you know what? I made it to November. I made it through a lot of challenges. I've accomplished a lot that's on my list. I feel good about my progress. Let's do something today to celebrate what those positive sort of strides are. So celebrate life's little victories and celebrate the success of people around you as well. So if someone has had a real difficult go at something and things are getting better, just say, you know what, you totally deserve this. Good for you. And say it and mean it, because one day that'll be you and you'll be receiving that same support. So celebrate, be optimistic, be positive. It's a really good card and it's upright. So I'm not getting anything negative with that. One thing that could be coming through in relationships overall is, how do you mix in that third person? So for those of us that have a really tight-knit group, there's always sometimes like a third or fourth person that's on the exterior, and I think you have an opportunity to include them a little more. So for work and social and even like familial things, if there's a favorite, let's try to include the others and bring like not as much favoritism. Let's make it an inclusive sort of thing. In a love relationship, there could be challenges on spending time with one another. This is always a chance to rekindle intimacy. There could be a third party. It's not always about someone that wants to take your love interest away. It can be like a mother or father or a boss, someone that's getting in between you and your partner. So this could also be a challenge for you on how to find the balance between that external force and then the one that matters the most to you. But overall, pretty good. The card is upright. We're not over worried about this one. I like what I see for Wednesday. Now, Thursday actually seems like the pivotal day for many of you. You might find yourself at a fork in the road, and it's hard to decide, what do I do? Where do I stand? We have the Two of Swords. He's blindfolded, but we can't see it. But the cool thing with the Two of Swords here is you will be okay in almost either path that you take, because sometimes we just see it as black and white, or I have to commit all the way to this. You could try this and then decide to go to this. You could try this and then veer a little bit this way. So be flexible, but you do have to eventually take action. So do all the research you can, talk to all the people that you can, search your heart and your soul, and then make the best decision you can, and realize that every moment you have a chance to course correct if you need to. It's not like this is going to be something that forever defines you, okay? So indecision closes doors. Flexibility and movement and kind of deciding to kind of move along. And again, it might be a winding course. That's probably going to be the best path here, okay? But you may need to ask for help. You may need to get additional information. In Friday's Q&A, part of what I was talking about in the special reading at the beginning was that it's okay to ask. I think it was either that or one this past week, that if you don't have what it takes to do something, you either say, let me find someone that can, or let me get some information. Let me find out is a great way to do this. So find out. You don't have to commit until you find out. Once you find out, you may still find yourself just needing to make a judgment call. All right. You're going to be all right. Everything around this week looks pretty solid. That's the only day where you're going to have to just move forward and push through. That might be like pushing through the Chrysalis. And then I like what we see on Friday. We have an upright justice card, and it looks like you really feel confident about a decision made or a decision received. This is a very, matches my shirt. I always try to find the card that matches my shirt. This is very good for those of you that might be waiting for a decision. So if you're trying to apply for something that requires approval, Friday's a good day. If you wanted to start a legal kind of proceeding or something like that, Friday's a good day. This is a good time for checking back with someone or beginning something. And it looks auspicious because justice upright is usually affirmative or a yes. For you, it still is about committing to the decision. Judgment, you've understood it, you're moving forward, there's something on the horizon. Justice, the scales are still kind of like, a little bit imbalanced there. So I would say for some of you, you're fully saying, yes, I'm going to do this. And you have to say it, maybe say it to someone else. And then that accountability has kind of been locked in. And then boom, things start to happen. Okay. I love this version of Temperance here. We have like a DJ and kind of between night and day. Again, we've been talking about the difference between black and white and trying to sort of, it's not always that, it's somewhere in the middle. So you might find yourself somewhere in the middle. Temperance is also a really key component to the whole Chrysalis message that we talked about. One foot in, 1 foot out, trying to break through. So on Saturday, which is what we're looking at here, you might sort of be at that point of being able to be at peace with it a little bit more. And you might be able to step a little bit more into the change that's underway. Now, the other thing here, we're seeing something that I don't normally look at in this card, but we're going to pull the imagery and talk about it. There might be a nice blending. This could be a compromise when I see the two turntables. So you could take a little of this idea, a little of that idea. Maybe someone has a bunch of demands for this and you have some demands here. You're going to find a way to find the middle ground here. You may have to listen. You may even need a day to sort of like consume and integrate and think through things. So if you do, this is a great time to do that. You're going to find the happy medium, that mix on Saturday, especially. And then I love what we're looking at. Well, I don't love what I'm looking at on Sunday, but I love how this kind of sets you up to be able to handle this. So we have a healing card here. It's a different illustration. Instead of seeing the heart, we see the heart chakra with a heart on it, with a cross on it. And then we have the Three of Swords here. So this is rising above challenge. The fact that it's reversed, I'm happy, because that tells me that if there was something disappointing, if there was something that upsets you, you finally made the decision to prioritize your own healing now. And forgiveness begins. So I feel like the big thing for you to focus on, again, about a week from today, is prioritizing your happiness. And some of you may just be that paternal or maternal energy that takes care of everyone else, but you're a little tired if you kind of consistently sit in that energy of always lifting up, always helping, always extending a hand. Let someone else give you the shirt off their back. Let someone else support you. Give your heart a chance to heal. Healing is possible, and that looks like what this whole week is setting you up to do is to get to that moment. So I'm actually looking at that in a sort of positive light, which is your heart will lead you in the right direction. We talked about the heart being the compass when I did the milestone video again on Friday. So listen to that if you want to, but I feel like as long as you're trusting your heart, you'll be in a good place. So quick mini review, and then we're going to move on to blessings and blocks and then elements. Elements are all the different signs. So just give me a second here. So again, today it's really about just accepting something, deciding to take some movement on it. If you miss this and watch it a day later, or if it's already tomorrow because of time zones, what you want to do is pick up what you started and finish it, because Sunday's bringing through a good idea, a good offer, something that you can't really pass up. And what Monday is giving you is a chance to take action on it, to articulate it, to edit it, to put it into motion. You need to take care of yourself on Tuesday and really focus on motivation, motivating yourself, motivating others. Celebrate, do something fun on Wednesday, gathering and mingling. And, obviously with COVID restrictions in place, you want to exercise common sense, but this can also just be about virtual connections. I still do that with friends that are scattered across the country and the world. So just talk to someone that you care about, celebrate life's little victories too. It's not all about the big milestones, the little steps along the way matter. And then try not to let a third party get in the way of you and someone that you care about. You're going to have to make a decision on Thursday. You'll figure out what it is. Friday, you're accepting that. You're taking action on it. A decision could be made for you, which is good too. It's a great day to try to negotiate. You find yourself in the middle on next Saturday, and you're going to start to incorporate things. And you're choosing this whole path of healing. And allow yourself to do what really makes you happy. I think that's the most important thing here as we're looking at these. All right, let's move on to a different deck for the next portion here. We're going to look at blessings and blocks. So let's see which deck is calling to me. I think I'm going to use something that I haven't used in a while. So we'll do the Sun and the Moon deck here. And let's see the blessing for the week ahead and the block. Okay. So the blessing for the week ahead, something to look forward to, something to embrace. We have the Princess of Wands here. And I love this card because it's almost as if she's reaching up to the stars there. Like her torch looks a little bit like a star, and she's actually going higher than she thought she could, which I like. And we have this really cool feline energy here, which shows me that I feel like you're going to be able to act swiftly and show what you need to show. It might be kind of like a show and tell week. Wands are better at demonstrative showing, acting, basically walking the walk. And then other people are going to see that and be able to imagine it. So you might need to use, if you're having any sort of presentation or an argument or some sort of discussion, if there's a visual cue or something in real life that you can allude to, it's going to help people kind of like get behind it. So be visual and act it out and demonstrate. Your actions speak louder than words. That's the most important thing, okay? And princesses are pages, so you're going to be able to also receive other people's ideas and work with them very well. So there's some great partnership opportunities this month, and people are going to be able to get what you're trying to do. But maybe not just the verbal portion. I think it's going to require nonverbal cues and visual aids and things like that. And if you don't follow, practice what you preach, it'll be difficult. So practice what you preach. All right, so we have a really cool card here for the block. It's simply believing. So judgment reverse is disbelief. It's also not stepping through the chrysalis, which we've been talking about here earlier with the channel messages. So with judgment, we see people rising from the dead. It's reincarnation, it's rebirth. We have the flying angel, Gabriel, right above it, but that also has a very sort of butterfly vibe as well. So you have a calling. You have to answer the calling. You and you alone know what that calling is. And friends and family, as I was talking about with that allusion to the animated film Coco, they don't always know what's best because mom, dad, aunt, uncle, whomever, they all have their own agenda. And so you have to kind of get through the agendas, even your own agenda, and go back to like, why did I come here this lifetime? What do I need to sort out? So just trust in what's already been presented to you. You've made a decision. Now you need to accept and act upon the decision. Or you know what to do. Now you need to do something about it. So acting on the understanding, believing and accepting what's going on around you. Sometimes judgment reverse can be that we don't agree with someone else's life choices, with their decisions, and it's not always our choice to make. So there's freedom here. We all get free will. And I think one of the things that, we can kind of just celebrate is, well, I wouldn't want someone telling me what to do. Let's let them do what they need to do. And then you can always just extend, say, hey, if you ever want to talk about it, my door is always open. But you don't have to control the narrative. You don't have to overthink this too much, okay? So let's move into the elemental forecast. I'm going to use the same cards for this because I like it, and we'll see what comes through next. All right, so we're going to look at the different elements. Instead of me pulling 12 cards, I look at the 4 elements: fire, earth, air, and water. We're going to start. Let me just pull all the cards first, and then we'll talk about it. All right, so fire, which will be Aries, Leo, and Sag. Earth, which is going to be Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Air, which will be Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And water, which is going to be Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. I just sent out the newsletter yesterday. It's been on hiatus for a while, by the way. So if you've signed up, you should get it. And if you haven't, I'll start to produce it again. Basically, because I've started all of these extra readings per month, I had to figure out how I would make time for it, and I have. So thanks for being patient. But the 5 of Swords came up on that, so I'm not surprised to see it. We do have some healing energy that's coming through this week and this month. So what we're seeing here makes a lot of sense. A lot of cups, a lot of swords. So beginning with fire, which is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, we have the 7 of Cups reversed. So for many of you, it's time to decide. The 7 of Cups is a pretty good card, and I really like what we see here. You're not alone. So if you feel like there's too much to handle, or there's a lot of decisions to make, you're not going down this path alone. Feel free to ask for help. Feel free to talk about what's on your mind to someone else. Don't let yourself kind of get weighted down too much in the emotional part of sometimes trying to deal with these things. You have what it takes to transcend and to transmute this. Now, the 7 of Cups reverse, this is a very unusual version of it. Normally, we would see the cups in the air, and there would be opportunities to explore different paths. So the weekday that this would be associated with is Thursday, because you're trying to figure something out. You're going to have to just come to a final decision. And some of these other things, you can say, well, I'll do that next month or next year or tomorrow. So push some of the things to the side and really pick a couple to kind of like get behind. You may be having a hard time concentrating. Someone could be on your mind. Something could be on your mind. You need to deal with whatever or whomever that is. Some of you could be also paralyzed with the opportunities, and that's when you might just need to get a gut check with someone else. But it usually is a cognitive card. Not so much the heart, but it's more sort of like thinking about too many things, or having too many distractions, or having too many points of contact or input that are coming through. And you have to then just limit it and say, all right, enough. If you've ever, like for me as a writer, and I'm sure many of you that are creative, maybe if you're a musician, if a producer comes in and overproduces your track, it doesn't sound like you anymore. If an editor comes through and asks you to change everything, at some point it's like, well, this isn't my story anymore. So I'm going to go back to this and keep this and do this. Eventually, you have to become the editor. So editing is key. Less is more across the board. That also is just a general piece of advice for, again, fire. You might just decide to pull back a little bit and say, this is what I want to say, or this is what I want to do. Okay. That's the main piece that will come through that will help all the fire signs. Again, Aries, Leo, and Sag. Looking now at Earth, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. This is very much what I talked about in my newsletter. We have the 5 of Swords. The 5 of Swords is reversed. So what I wrote about in my newsletter was being the voice of reason, which isn't always what I would pick up on this, but it's fresh in my head because I was writing it on Saturday. So some of you are at a point where the other person may not be reasonable. And look at how this person is kind of penned in, or kind of like It's almost like the shirt has been punctured and pushed into the ground. So don't let somebody try to make you promise to do something that you can't. Someone in your life may not be receptive to feedback. They may be argumentative. They may be defensive. And so what you're going to learn to do is to be the voice of reason. And what I wrote about also in the newsletter was that oftentimes when we're faced with an unreasonable force like that, we can identify our true allies. So I feel like many of you might have this hidden helper in the wings that comes through and says, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Let me help you with this, this, and this. I've got you. So you find like a fast friend or a true friend. So the Five of Swords isn't even the point this week. You're going to see someone or something, and that's going to clarify what you should or shouldn't focus on. But all of a sudden, you see someone or something that's a very clear energetic connection to you. There's a lot of reciprocity, and it feels good. So you have a little bit of a hiccup, but a really nice sort of kick at the end of that, which is, wow, I found something that I really care about, or someone that really cares about me. It was worth that situation. And sometimes that's the final straw, right? We have to just have someone do something ridiculous. And that is what enough is enough. And, you know, in the Q&A, there was one other thing that helped me decide. And it was that someone asked me to work on Christmas Eve when I'd asked off for that. I did it anyway, because I knew I couldn't argue. But I thought, I actually had it in writing. I talked about it, and they knew that I was off, but they just played a game. And I thought, all right, last time. So sometimes when someone does that, it's just what we need to say enough is enough. So I think, again, we're looking at Earth, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. You're probably at a point where enough is enough, and something much better is out there and worth your time and energy. All right. Looking now at air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So I want you to focus on the good. This is one of the best Three of Swords illustrations in any deck, because it shows us that we give away our power. Sometimes we allow for pain to sort of take up our mental sphere. And if we take this away, you're just in the clouds, which is really good. You're air signs. So I want you to use your mind and focus it somewhere else. Not too different from what we were looking at for the fire signs. For you, air, you have a very similar message, which is reset the internal. We just did the resetting of the clock. It kind of makes sense, but you're going to reset the narrative. So this is your chance to reframe it, reset it, and forgive yourself. It all begins with forgiveness, right? So forgive yourself, forgive others, and allow yourself to be happy. Especially for those of you that are air signs, this whole week is setting you up for healing. So starts here, but there might be some external stuff that you need to work on as well. You don't have to hear someone else apologize so here's the cool thing about forgiveness. If you forgive yourself or forgive someone else, whether or not they accept it or whether or not they return it, the healing's already started and you've done your part of it. And that's all you have to do on a soul level. So do what you can there. You don't have to, if you can't forget something, you can at least sort of understand it from the perspective of why it came through. Look at the higher lesson if you can. I think all of these things are important, all right? And stop thinking about negative people or negative things. You are very powerful this week in particular. Your thoughts manifest. So I want all the air signs out there to think, I am worth whatever it is that you're worth. I am ready for this to happen, and I'm going to take some action. All right. Because you show up in a really great way twice, actually. You show up on Monday as being able to say what you need to say to alleviate this. You feel like you're happy in the midweek, and then you show up again, especially those of you that are Libra, have Libra somewhere in your chart on Friday. But air shows up a couple of times here. The only time that you're doubting yourself is Thursday. So you actually kind of dominate the energy in the week as I'm looking at it, but you've got to figure out who you are, where you stand, and you're going to be okay by the end of the week. All right. Now let's go on to water. Interestingly enough, I always seem to pull water for water. All right. So you have a Page of Cups or a Princess of Cups here. Playful energy here as we're looking at the dolphin, which I like. So have some fun and use your humor, your charm, use your positive energy to move things and make them happen. For you, I actually feel like you'll have really good interactions with other people. This is a great week for building relationships, healing relationships, maybe even dating, you're the one sign where I'm seeing a very sort of magnetic energy for others. So use that to the best of your ability. We also sort of see this, when I'm looking at the dolphin, I see something very intelligent, very playful. And I like to remind people that if we don't give ourselves time to rest, to do things for fun and to get inspired, our productivity takes a nosedive. So I think you should do something that inspires you. Read a book, see a movie, take a vacation, talk to somebody. And this goes for all of us, but water signs especially. Get inspired, because when your heart starts to light up, you especially succeed. So that's my advice, is to have some fun and be around like-minded people. It's going to help you out quite a bit. So those are the main messages here. Again, I'll just try to do a quick overview. So for fire, editing, less is more is really important here. For earth, you want to be the voice of reason, and you're going to find a hidden ally or an unexpected sort of opportunity. For air, you're just changing the channel, changing the narrative, and you're using your power to make a decision and really sort of be okay with it. You don't need other people's approval to know what to do. You have a really good understanding of right and wrong. So don't worry if they're giving you negative stuff. And I really think that's all this is someone else is getting in your head. You're stronger than that. And as we look at water, have some fun, hang out with some people, you do something creative, do something passionate. It's a good week for you. Okay. Those are the high level notes for all the elements. Now let's do a quick viewer's choice poll, and then we'll move into the special topic. So let me grab the keyboard here. And as I'm looking through this, I'm going to give you 3 choices to vote on, and then we'll take a look at, I'll probably let you vote on which deck that I use as well. I sometimes do that. So let's see what's going on here. Okay, so let me set up the poll. For anybody that's watching live, you'll have a chance to vote on this. If you watch later, obviously you can't. You have to be using either a computer or a mobile device that's supported to do this. But if you're looking at it on a TV or console, it won't work. All right, so viewers' choice. Let's take a look at some things that you can possibly look at. So I'm being drawn straight to the 3 of Cups card, which showed like dealing with a tricky third party. So I'm going to basically write that. Dealing with third party interferences, but I'm just going to say third parties. And the next piece would be, for those of you that did get the 3 of Swords, we could clarify and just say changing the mental channel. What can you do to sort of get past that distraction? And really for everybody, since it came through here, just allowing healing to step in. So facilitate, I'm just going to say too many letters there. Adding, allowing for healing to come through. Okay. Right, so there you go, viewer's choice. Feel free to look at that. I'm going to pull one little soul path wild card here, which I might at some point call like a North Star question, because that's kind of like, it leads us towards wherever we need to go, like Polaris. So let me pull soul path question while you're voting on that. We have the Page of Pentacles as just general advice for things that I haven't looked at already, which is saying that you have the capacity this week to really take this ace that we saw and make it grow. But the next piece is shopping an idea around, or opening yourself up to receive some feedback, putting yourself out there a little bit. Legwork. It's about taking this and bringing it out a little bit. Okay. So let's see. We have a winner. You said it's all 33. It was close for a moment. We have changing the mental channel, which I think is great, at about 40%. So we're going to go with that one. So changing the mental channel, this is going to be especially helpful because the 3 of Swords came up twice. So I think it's good. Everyone's going to be dealing with it about a week from now. Air signs especially are dealing with it. So let's look at how you can focus on something different, something that's more important. Okay, we got another Pentacles card here. We have the 8 of Pentacles. This is a beautiful one. It was reversed, but I want to talk a little bit about what it means. So we see these beautiful sunflowers, very sort of Van Gogh style painting here, like Starry Night. But with the 8 of Pentacles in reverse, this is about like for some of you, it could be writing, reading, learning. It could also be a hands-on sort of thing, like deciding to build or to tear something down. It's hands-on investment and time and energy that's going to somehow help you. So getting back to work and realizing Eight of Pentacles is a really good return. So if somebody said you're wasting your time, the Eight of Pentacles comes through saying, no, you're not. You're doing exactly what you need to be doing, and it's going to succeed, and it's going to grow, and it's going to bring you to the Nine of Pentacles, which is sustainability, independence, and wealth, and then the Ten of Pentacles, which is moving on and other people buying into this. So you're right on track. I feel like the get back to work is what this is saying. And if you don't have something to get back to work with, find something that you want to do and do that instead of thinking about what will happen with this. When is this going to happen? What if this, going through that rabbit hole of what ifs that ultimately paralyzes you? It's not very productive. So feed the positive, and positive will result from that. Okay. So I think that's really cool. All right. So you're going to have a good week. For anybody that's going through that, particularly the air signs, you need to get back to what matters most. So this is your clarification card, but for everybody, since you got that next Sunday, this is good advice, generally speaking, whether or not you have air placement. Just get back to work, or just focus on doing what you need or want to do, because it's going to pan out. A lot of times people just they're afraid. It's not that they don't believe in you. It's that they know they couldn't do it, or they're worried about what might happen if you don't do it, but they're not focusing again on, but this makes you happy, but this is what you need to do. They have a very subjective opinion. It's not objective enough. Okay. So let me clear all the cards here. And I'll give you a couple options on what to vote on, so you can select the deck that I can use. Maybe pull out some of my faves here. I'll give you like a few to vote from, so that you get a chance. Okay, let's see. Any of these I'd be happy with. I was going to read with the Wildwood, but I'll give you a choice because you're all present here today, if I can remember all the names of these decks. So give me a second to give a quick live poll. So let's see, I'll do as many options. I think I can only do 4 options, so I'll have to take one of these away. All right, so let's look at, let's do these since we just used that. So we can do Sun and Moon, or Wildwood, or Aries, or True Heart, Intuitive. So for fun, which deck would you like me to use? All right, so there you get a chance to do a quick poll. And if you've never seen them, this is the Sun and the Moon deck, which I was using for the elements. This is Wildwood, which has all kinds of nature totems. That was what I was going to use. This is Aphrodite. I use it all the time. It's one of my favorites. And then this is True Heart Intuitive. It has some really cool interpretations somewhere in the middle of all of these. It's going to be a tough choice, I'm sure, for some of you. All right. So I'll give you a second. It looks like Sun and Moon is in the lead. Now Wildwood is in the lead. All right. I'll give you a couple more seconds. It looks like Wildwood may be the winner, so we're going to move forward. All right. Wildwood it is. Thank you, everyone, for voting. Now we can move forward. I figure this way you get a chance to sort of see what's on the screen, and they're all winners to me. Okay, so let's focus now on the special topic, and we're looking at Chrysalis, which we talked about earlier, stepping in to a new you, letting go of the old stuff, getting people to see past all of the barriers, all of the blocks that either you or they have built for you. Yeah, this is one of the older decks that I've worked with, but it's probably one of my favorites. I think I've been using it since like 2015, 2016. It's been a while. It holds up well, too, for that amount of time, I have to say. I'm not a crazy shuffler. I tend to try to be really nice to the deck. very much like the Ace of Pentacles with this. Whenever I see a stone, reminds me of Earth. Even though I think they put it in a fire symbol, that to me the stone would be Earth. All right. Well, let's take a look at all of the messages here for stepping into a new you, getting past any of these barriers. So we have the stone card, which was upside down. To me, again, that speaks more to grounding than anything, but it looks like they put more of like a fire symbol on this. But I would say the other thing here, we're looking at like all these almost like platonic, so they're putting a bunch of geometric shapes here. So we have a triangle, we have a square, we have a circle, we have the stone at the center of all of this. I think one of the things that you want to really be looking at this week is not overcomplicating things and not trying to make something fit where it doesn't. So I'm also kind of looking at this as like a square peg and a round hole and all of that sort of stuff. So back to like the 7 of Cups message, which I think came through for fire signs. You know if something's right or wrong. You know if the time is right. And you have everything that it takes. That stone to me is still Earth, which is Pentacles, which is grounding and knowledge. So I want you to go with what you feel and don't worry about all of these external forces and things and trying to fit into all of these molds. As we talked about earlier, trying to make everyone happy is an exhausting thing, right? So don't do that. Really focus on what makes sense for you and take that energy and invest it, because I feel like a lot of you are putting all that time and energy in worry and external sort of thoughts, and it's not paying off the way that it should. So trust, you're going to be fine. Let's go to the center card here. We have 9 of Wands here, and it says respect, which is really interesting if you look at the caption. The 9 of Wands is an interesting card because to me, it is a chance for you to basically push through. This would definitely be the final phase of a chrysalis. Usually you can't see it so much here because we have like this nature energy here kind of pushing through it. But what I would say, normally you would see like a bandage on the person's head, and they're kind of like a little bit worn out from the journey. With this, we see someone who is not giving up, who is kind of trying to find that next opportunity rather than to focus on, oh, it's taken so long, or I don't feel good, or why did this happen? So this is someone who is pushing through and is actually very, very focused and hunting down that next opportunity, thinking about the next leg of the journey. So I think that's really important here. Don't give up. But for some of you, 9 of Wands and 7 of Cups can be associated with a headache, a migraine, distraction, focusing issues. A lot of this is going to just be your own mind over matter. So you have to do what you can to make sure that you're not feeling that sense of being overwhelmed. So talking to someone, having some fun, like the water signs are hopefully going to do, just decompression is going to be really important. This is crossed by a really great card, though. We have well, I shouldn't say a great card here, but I like that it's on the side, so it's going to help you get through it. We have the 7 of Swords here. This 7 of Swords is reminding you to not let your insecurity, or not let even your own sort of tendency to overextend get in the way. I've talked before about the 7 of Swords. It can be our own sort of lie that we tell to ourselves, like, I'll do this, I'll figure it out, or I'll deal with it tomorrow, or this isn't going to catch up to me. So this is saying push through that sense of doing something that you know you shouldn't do. I really want you to follow your inner compass, not so much that little voice that says, don't worry about it, there'll always be time to take care of it. Fix stuff now. Push through that sort of resistance to change, because I feel that last little thing is going to be really, really important for you, just to be able to sort of succeed. So we sometimes sabotage ourselves by doing that. So I was also having this conversation about watching things. This is very much associated with this. So if we look at Nine of Wands, especially as this person's kind of peering through the bushes, a different view of this, and then the Seven of Swords, someone doing something they shouldn't do. If you are observing something that's being done that's wrong, let's say someone's breaking the law, someone's doing something unkind, someone's saying something that you know is either untrue or unrealistic, it's going to be stronger for you to take a stand. And I really feel like these two cards are about making a stand. So don't be afraid to put that line in the sand, to make the stand, and to move forward. Because people will remember at the end of things like who was on the right side, who was on the wrong side. So it's better to not look at the short-term gain or worry about peer pressure. Do what's right. You'll always sleep with yourself easier at night if you do that, okay? Looking at deep past, we have the Page of Wands in reverse. So don't overthink. As a part of metamorphosis and change, it's really, really important for you to trust the intuitive energy as it comes through you. So one of my biggest pieces of advice for anybody that's starting to connect a little bit more with spirit and try to figure out, like, you know, how can I connect with my guides? How do I know if I'm on the right path? How do I grow my intuition? Close your eyes, listen, and follow what comes through. Don't sit there and think, well, what if it's this or what about that? That first whisper of intuition is the closest to source. We start to layer on all these other things that get in the way. So don't overthink. You're a lot closer to it than you think, okay? So you're receiving, but you might be not trusting the receipt of that, because the page is basically able to listen, but if it's reversed, the satellite's in the wrong position. So you need to realign your satellite to source, trust what you're receiving, and then report back or then act upon that. Looking now at the King of Cups, we have this lovely heron here. Great energy coming through, showing me that your heart is where it's at. Creativity is coming through really strong as we're looking at the changes that are coming forth. So you should be doing something if and only if, or especially when it feels like I can't wait to do it. So have you ever given a gift to someone and you just know that they'll love it and they love it? Or if you're in school and you've written a report or something, you just know you knocked it out of the park and you can't wait to kind of turn it in. And maybe in life, there's something where you know you're in line for promotion and you just feel it coming. So when you really feel like I deserve it, I'm ready, this is good, I can't wait for you to consume what I've created, you're powerful. And that's why we have the King here. So I want you to get that passion, foster it in your life. This is the single most important ingredient to success. The other one is to be honest with yourself and with others. So honesty and passion will take you all the way to the finish line. Hard work is what the Nine of Wands is bringing you. All right. Looking at your crowning card, we have the Ten of Pentacles reversed. This is about leaving that nest and realizing that there's another nest out there too. So you're never, this is kind of like going through one portal and you see something else. I really like this particular image here. So some of you are ready to leave what's safe and explore the world at large. But the Ten of Pentacles is also receipt and celebration. Normally on the Ten of Pentacles, you would see family, you'd see a dog, you would see children, you would see all of this sort of everything that you're kind of looking for. But in order to get there, this card is showing you that you have to walk through a door, walk through a portal first, okay? So it could be away from the stuff that friends and family are kind of tying you down to believe that you have to do. So liberation happens if and only if you open that door and try something new, okay? So we have another card here in the near future that is talking about the importance of the heart. We have the Knight of Cups reversed. For some of you, there could be a disappointment because of someone in your life that just, they didn't support you, or they didn't believe in you, or again, there's this feeling of your own emotions getting in the way of seeing that it's all going to work out. That person, whether or not they approve of you, especially for the air signs out there that might be feeling the Three of Swords energy, it's just one opinion. one in a chorus of many that probably are on your side. So don't give energy to what we see here, this little eel that's slithering around. There's always one person that has something negative to say, that's going to disagree, that doesn't support you, that has a critique. Oftentimes that person is unhappy, maybe unable to do what they're asking you to do, unrealistic. So keep it real and keep moving. All right. I think that's the important thing with that. Looking at your soul here, we have the ancestor card. And this is a paternal energy here. So this would be, normally this is the Hierophant, but in this deck, you could ostensibly think that this could be like a grandparent or a father or mother. So we're seeing that traditional energy coming through, and they expect you to listen. They expect you to do what is said. And I talked like last month about the thing in the 80s and even just the last century, I would say, mid-century, it was happening too, where parents would say children are to be seen and not heard, which is ridiculous, because it's telling children that their voice doesn't matter, and it's telling them that you just have to kind of like assimilate. So there could be this old school thinking of this is how it's always been, this is how it will always be, and if you say otherwise, you're not good. If we subscribe to that particular point of view, we would still think that the sun moved around the earth. We would still think that we wouldn't develop languages. We wouldn't explore. You have to question. I think that authority that doesn't allow for curiosity, research, it's insecure. So there's some insecurity around you that you need to get past, and maybe even your own unwillingness or unreadiness to break free of the traditional stuff. It could be holding you back too. So you march to the beat of your own drum here, as we see with this very interesting Hierophant here. So don't worry, just be true to that. Just keep the rhythm, keep the time, and keep the direction, okay? And if your parents ever said that they were not, it's just nonsense from the last decade, the last century rather. That sort of way of thinking needs to go away. Children are our future. They're the most important things. Like if we don't invest well in them, then we're bankrupt as a human race. So we need to listen to them. There are teachers on many levels. Remember back, like when I was a kid, I know maybe I was just kind of like an old soul in a young body, but I know that parents would consistently, and teachers and adults, I should say, my parents were cool, but adults in general would just take for granted your intelligence. They would say things and didn't think that you would get it. And you'd be like, I understand what you're doing. Or I know that those people are getting a divorce. I know that that's bad. I know that this person's lying. I know that that person stole. You're not sort of protecting me from that. It would be better and stronger if we talked about it. So be honest with your kids and treat them like the adults that they will one day be. And they're going to be really smart and mature if you do that. And for you, you get this chance to break free and prove to yourself that you are worth it, that you are worth listening to. Your voice matters. Talk, speak, share your story with others, okay? Funny aside, I was told in first and second grade, I used to get in detention because I would laugh too much. I would talk too much. I still talk a lot, don't I? And I would scribble down stuff on paper or whatever when I should have been listening. So thankfully, my parents didn't care about that. And they were like, no, I was a good kid. I wasn't challenged in those classes, and the teachers were kind of mean. So I just stopped caring because I thought they don't care about me. So why should I care about them? It wasn't until I moved that everything changed, and the teachers actually treated me like I was a good kid. So then I became a good kid. If you treat someone like they're bad, then they're bad. So just know this, you're good and you're capable. And I want to see you do something amazing. And this card is supporting that. In the environment, we have the Page of Swords, and it's reversed, and you're finding your voice again. Cute little bird there, little wren. And it's really about putting it out there, just trying it with one person. So try on your new voice, try on your new persona. So the butterfly, when it first comes out of Chrysalis, it has to pump blood in its wings. So if you ever see it kind of moving its wings a little bit before it kind of takes flight after it comes out of that, that's because the heart has to pump blood into that. So much like the butterfly, you have to warm up the different parts of you that might have atrophied or just sort of developed. So take it slowly, but keep moving and keep trying. You might have to sort of try a few times to find how you're going to say what you're going to say. But your voice is very important. Your story is very important. So embrace that. I really like what's coming through for possibilities here. We have an Ace of Swords, and it's flying through the sky as an arrow here. So once you take aim, you're unstoppable. This is what it's all leading up to. So like being honest with yourself, working hard, trying to connect with the heart space, leaving the nest, all of this stuff is helping you now so that you can go further than people expected. This looks like a rocket to me, right? So don't be limited by the imagination of mom, dad, teacher, friend, society, because you've got some great potential here from what I can see. With the Ace of Arrows, with the Ace of Swords, you have to take action though. So just because I see it, you have to actually follow through and do it for it to really make the impact, okay? Some of you might have something written or a story or a movie or a script or some sort of something that you're going to carry on in an oral tradition that's going to be really important. So this is about recording that as well. Record what this is. I don't know how that's going to work for you. Maybe also photography, but something about recording and documenting is going to be very important to you as well. All right, let's get to the final card and then we'll expand the forecast here. We have the moon on the water, which is the moon card in this deck. If we look really closely here, it looks like we have a bull. So for some of you that have like a Taurus placement in your chart, you might be facing, especially if it's Taurus in the moon, you might be facing this sort of fear over how do I push through this fear or this emotion that I have. You'll never know if you don't try. That's what this moon card is showing me. And if you're afraid of talking about something, you'll never know what will happen if you don't put it out there, if you don't sort of let people see where you stand. Ultimately, I love the moon because it's raw intuition and it's a chance for you to also rein things in. So rein in your emotions, say what you need to say, and don't be afraid of trying. That's what I think you're going to be much more successful than you ever imagined. So you really have to put yourself out there, okay? This could be love coming through for some of you. Again, it's Taurus. So there could be a strong Tauran in your life or a Taurus placement that needs your attention. For the rest of you, be stubborn in the right kind of ways. Decide what you want to do and put your mind to it. I have a Taurus placement and it's actually in my moon sign. So one thing that I like about it is when I really get my heart or mind set on something, that bull comes charging in and helps me get to the finish line. So does Capricorn, which is my ascendant. So I can get organized and I really know what I want to do and I stick with it. Libra's just trying to hold the reins of all of these things as I'm doing that. But the stubborn thing that I've learned is that because I have that placement, you don't even need it as a placement. Being bullish on your future and being stubborn about that is going to be really important. So who cares if you don't have it in your chart? I think it's going to be really important for you to just see it through. You owe it to yourself. Okay? There you go. Let's go ahead now and expand this. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. You got two cards for health. We're going to start with the one that's on top. And it is so hard, isn't it? This is the hardest thing, composure. It's reversed. We see he's actually an angel, or she's an angel. They're an angel. But the thing that we want to focus on is how do I stay cool, calm, and collected when everyone else is crazy, when everything else seems topsy-turvy? That's going to be your challenge as you move through the change. And also, if you are comfortable coming out with whatever it is you want to come out with, other people will be comfortable in receiving it. So being at peace with the new you. And I've talked about this many times, but just expressing a sense of using love, infusing love and saying, I care about you and I love you and I'm making this change in my life, or this is who I am. And I wanted to share with you because you're my best friend. You're not asking for approval. They're going to, if they love you, they're going to approve that. Don't ask for permission. Share it and tell them why you're sharing it. It's going to be more powerful that way. So it also puts you in a position of leadership. You're steering the ship. and you're composed. I'm cool with this. You should be cool with it. If someone else is worried, if it's your mom, if it's your dad, if it's a friend, say, I don't know why you're freaked out. I feel great about this. Stop worrying. What's going on with you? You can always turn the lens back on them. So stay cool, calm, and collected, and believe what you say before you say it, particularly when you're going to make an announcement, which is probably going to be a part of this whole journey of chrysalis and metamorphosis. Compassion. We've got the two C's there. So composure and compassion. So understand that some people may be in a different place. They may not be ready to see you that way just yet. So have compassion and say, well, this is happening no matter what. The door is open. I'm ready to talk when you're ready. That way they know that you haven't shut them out or shut down. So be cool, be compassionate, be composed, and let them sort it out. If you've ever been around like a toddler that's going through a tantrum, sometimes the best thing you can do is just kind of let them go through the tantrum. You don't want to condescend. You don't want to agitate. You don't want to feed it. You just want to let them be in it and just say, I understand. I'm sorry you're going through this. I love you. And then, but like, let them kind of get it all out and eventually they're okay. So maybe there's someone around you that has to have the tantrum, but then they'll eventually come back, take the deep breath and get real with you. Okay. That's coming through in health. So there's a lot of emotional components with the composure and the compassion, but they're beautiful cards and beautiful messages. It looks like the harder piece is going to be the composure, but the other person just may meet you with the compassion that you didn't expect. You may be the one crying and they may be okay. So you never know. Usually in my experience, it's always worked out better than I thought when there's something difficult that I need to say, whether it's about liberation or declaration or an announcement. And so I hope the same is true for you. All right, let's take a look at the cards themselves. And let me just see if there's any additional messages around health that are coming through in the cards. As I said earlier, some of you might be going through some issues with headaches, migraines, or concentration. So if it persists, standard disclaimer applies. I'm not a doctor. You should talk to someone about those sorts of things. It could just be you needing to get organized and lose some of the distractions in your life. So either way, you'll be able to deal with that. If you want to make a change, make sure you're truly ready for it. The Seven of Swords is honestly, it's just sometimes we're not ready to see the truth ourselves. So it takes time to get there. But once you get there, you know, I see wonderful things happening. So when you're ready to take the first step, do it. And it's going to be easier than you thought. These are the main messages here. The fact that the moon card came through does have connotations with urinary tract and reproductive systems for many of you. So if you're experiencing any problems there, again, go talk to a doctor. You might not be drinking enough water. There may be some issues in conceiving this month. It could be stress related, but you want to focus on getting that part of your body in the right place. And so there are specialists, OBGYN and urologists, for instance. Don't be afraid to talk to them if you need to. Those are the main messages for health. Let's move on to wealth. I'll leave my glasses on because these are small captions on this. So first of all, what a great initial image here. So we have, I believe, a whale coming through and it says breakthrough to new dimensions. A new endeavor is on the horizon. Innovative energy wants to burst through your consciousness. Amen. This is the butterfly. Doesn't have to be a butterfly, but this is the breakthrough. They're going from water to air, breaking through one boundary, going to another, going from emotions and bringing it into clear thoughts, clear action, and kind of just really feeling that sense of I'm free, right? Even if it is just for a moment, getting it all out there. So I really like this. And this is coming through in wealth, which is very, very good for you. So if you've been stagnating, if it hasn't been what you've wanted it to be, your career, your activities, if you're retired, or the kind of academic path that you're on, I think you're going to get an epiphany. Whether or not the actual breakthrough happens, you're going to get the epiphany that helps you see what to do about it. So that's ostensibly just as important to know what you want to do. How you want to do, you're going to have to figure all this out, but I feel like there's a breakthrough happening, okay? So that's exciting for many of you. When I was thinking of the chrysalis earlier, I thought that it could also be, like I said, a glass ceiling, traditional structure, kind of like this hierophant that we see here, where only certain people from certain schools or backgrounds or cultures or whatever All of these aren't right, by the way, but there might be some sort of these old-fashioned things in place that aren't allowing you to break through. So you have to decide, am I going to be the one that brings this to people's attention, or do I just want to go somewhere where I'm appreciated? You get a choice. Either way, I'm feeling nice movement for you. So looking again just at the cards to see if there's some additional messages about finances. I think the most important thing again is honesty and looking at what you need to deal with. You have a very positive card here in the crowning position. Some of you may decide to sell your home because you see it actually says home here on the 10 of Pentacles, and you may decide to liquidate an asset. It's going to be fine if you want to do that. But the main thing here is that your headspace really should be thinking about the bigger picture and tapping into your network. So if you're not networking, we have that 3 of Cups coming through the midweek. You should be focusing on how can I network? How can I reach out? Who can help me through some of these things? Let's see. I think that it's really getting important to get away from the clicks, because the moon card can sometimes be people that are either in a clique or sometimes saying one thing and doing another thing. So really focus on making sure that you can trust the people around you. Trust is essential. So be honest with yourself. Make sure you can trust the people around you. The truth of the matter is, whether you stay or go, I see a big shift happening. Both of these are moving in the right direction. So you'll know when it's time to go, if it's time to go. You do have the 10 of Pentacles, though, ultimately, and I see that as a really good card. Plus, at the center of this is a stone, which I still attribute to Pentacles, and we had the Ace of Pentacles for today. So I see a lot of positive energy around resources for you. You just have to figure out if you're ready. If somebody has consistently said, we'll do this for you, and they don't, it's time to move on. It can just be a blatant lie. So someone could just be simply saying, I can't manage this one more time. I can't wait one more year of hearing that you're gonna get the raise, or we didn't have the money, but we'll try to get it next year. I think you owe it to yourself to look, because I see options for those of you that are employed and looking for something else. If you are having someone sort of deal with your financials, maybe find someone else, because the 7 of Swords and the Moon card, if you don't like what they're saying or like what they're doing, research it, because they may not be telling you the big picture or the whole picture. So ask a lot of questions this month when it comes to money, for sure, because I talked about that earlier. All right, let's move on to love. And we'll look at it first overall, then I'll break it down into the 3 categories that I normally look at. So we have the Bobcat spirit here. It says life's a mystery. So let's expect that we might be able to connect with something really cool this month. Someone has their eyes on you, perhaps, that you didn't expect. So for those of you, we're going to break it down now. I'll look at this because the Bobcat's going to have different symbology for each of these. So let's start with those of you in a relationship. For those of you in a relationship, what I get with this, because it's a kind of like, it's a predator, and it moves fast. So you want to be careful in existing relationships to not sort of like have a surprise attack on someone. So if there's something that's bothering you, see where they're at first and how they got there, rather than just sort of saying those terrible words, we need to talk. I don't think any conversation is going to go well if you say we need to talk. It makes everyone bristle. Just say, I've even just like it would, I would love it if we could spend some time. It's been too long. Let's catch up. That's better than we need to talk. And then just straight going into something that's bothering you. So instead, ask someone, has work been stressful? How have you been feeling? And then maybe you can ease into the situation and say, I know that we talked about this. That didn't happen. I want to understand why it didn't happen. What's going on with you? It's a lot better than just saying, you said you were going to do it, you didn't do it, I'm angry. That's okay. You can say those things too, but don't lead with that. So I get a surprise attack for some of you. If you're attacked by someone else, or if you attack them in words, obviously, then that needs to be hit the pause button. So if someone tries to kind of like pounce on you energetically, just say, whoa, okay, this is a lot at once. First of all, hello. Secondly, I need a second here and we'll talk about it. But I think we both need to be a little bit more calm. I'd be happy to answer all your questions, but the tone has to change. So that could be one thing. Now let's take the the bobcat out of it and let's look at the cards themselves. So I'm going to turn the camera down for this. Generally speaking, it's not too bad here. The main thing here that we're looking at is I feel like a lot of you are working really hard, and it's difficult to be able to probably connect the way your partner wants to connect. So for some of this, it's just sort of they feel like you're not maybe showing up the way that they wanted you to, or that you're, or vice versa. So honest discussion has to happen. This doesn't necessarily mean dishonesty, but it's showing that like what they thought would happen didn't happen. What we have to do, because it's a crossing card, not so much the center card, is get to the bottom of this. I see a lot of filters jamming from both frequencies here. I think the truth of the matter is you care about each other. You both can be a little stubborn. Communication could be a little bit better. I think that the good news is attraction still seems like it's there. You just have to talk about what you care about and sort it out. And I think you will be able to sort it out. So discussion is key, and really kind of like taking it to a different environment, getting out of the house, getting it on neutral ground. I think that's all going to be really, really important. Okay. So you can work it out, but you have to change the way you're discussing things, change the narrative. There could be dishonesty, this is still here, but what are you going to do about it? Like, is it a big sort of issue? Is it someone that just, or is it something like we talked about where someone said they were going to quit drinking or smoking and they couldn't? Or is there a bigger thing at heart? Are they lying about something that's core to the relationship? So you need to sort of look at that and sort it out. We do see communication being a key part of it. I do see that you love each other. It does look like there's some maturity gaps. We have a king and a knight. I'd rather see like a page and a knight, or a king and a queen, or two of the same. So one of you has to step it up a little bit maturity wise, and I think it'll be okay. All right. So ultimately just improving communication. If things are hunky-dory between the two of you, it does look like there might be some disagreements on money or what to do with some big property in your life, and just having open communication is going to be key as well. For those of you that are looking for love this month, you have options. You have a lot of options, actually. I think the main thing for you is, are you in a sort of mental state where this is going to throw you off balance a little bit? Because the Nine of Wands to me is someone who's really, really working hard, a little bit fatigued. I see a lot of responsibilities weighing heavily on you. And I think the most important thing for you to do is to take some time, heal yourself. Remember, we got 2 3 of Swords coming through for this next week in particular. And I think give yourself a week, give yourself a solid week before you decide to delve too deeply into a new relationship. Okay. It's there if you want it. But I do feel like that extra week of personal care and sorting everything out will be better. Then when they take that sort of spiritual scanner and scan you, they're going to get, this person values themselves. This person is healthy. This person is ready for what I have to offer. And then both of you will be on the same level. You should use that same spiritual scanner and see how you feel about the people that are incoming. All right. If you are single and okay, by the way, for you, the bobcat could be a happy surprise. Could be someone that has their eyes on you. Could be someone that makes the first move, because again, this is a predator. So now the fact that we do have like someone that's preying on someone, we want to be also mindful of that. So if there's anyone in your life that is trying to take advantage of a situation or whatever, you want to look at that. So just keep your eyes and your ears open and get to know someone. We also have 2 cards here that show someone that could be a little less than honest. So I think that's why I'm saying put the pause button if you're looking for love this week. I'm probably the only reader that's not going to tell you to look at love this week, but I'm like, there's other things that you can focus on if you're single. I think helping yourself, fixing other relationships in your life, getting your finances together, all of that stuff will be better. And towards the end of the week, I think you're going to be a lot more balanced. We literally got balance justice in on Friday. So give yourself until Friday before you decide to kind of put too much energy. You might have a date midweek with the 3 of Cups, but Friday feels better, Saturday feels better, and then anytime next week, I believe, okay? So just take it easy this week. All right, so now for those of you that are single and happy, again, this is a time to be opportunistic, actually. So there might be something that you can really use timing to your advantage. A bobcat isn't all bad. It knows exactly when to sort of like go for what it needs to get. So this is your chance to kind of like win the prize, whatever that is. And I think that as we're looking at how relationships might factor into it, first of all, you don't need anybody. The Nine of Wands and the Nine of Pentacles are equally as independent. You can deal with anything. You can do this on your own if you want to. I see some people around you, but I think some of them are falling short. You might want to look at a less experienced person. They might have better insights. I see like an old soul in a young body here with the Hierophant and the Page of Swords. And they're a little bit better than what I'm seeing with the water signs around you here. So I think that there might be a younger point of view that is better. So go with someone that's got a fresh perspective on something. And you may even partner up with someone like that and some cool things could happen. So I think moving away from some of the old relationships and exploring new connections, networking is key. This is very different than dating. So I think networking and working on developing your own path is going to be important. You want to protect your intellectual property since we got the moon here. But ultimately, you're going to meet someone younger or newer that has some really great ideas and could be really helpful to you. So since you're not focusing on love, I just see a really good young energy coming in. Maybe an intern, maybe just a family member that's younger that you're talking to and you're vibing off of, whatever. Talk to that new energy and see how that might help you. Looks like especially in your sort of career or just general life purpose, okay? All right, let's go to your final card here in this spread anyway, and we have the Bear, one of my favorite cards. It would be interesting, I didn't pull it in this particular deck, but the Bear is attached to Judgment in the Wildwood. So, and we did get Judgment in the blocks, and it was reversed. So we're getting that same, and we've got a few sort of like stubborn energies here. We've got the Bull right here in the sort of emotional side, and now we have a Bear, which is coming through on your Destiny card, which is saying some of you are you're at one end or the other with the Bear because it hibernates. So are you waking up or are you kind of deciding not to do something about it? So I feel like because we have winter coming through, some of us just want to hibernate, but the reversal of this is like the Four of Swords in reverse. Now's not the time to phone it in, go to sleep, or hibernate. You have to do the reverse, and you have to push through a little bit. At least through a couple of months here, I would say. A little bit more work. Let's get to the end of this year. Let's see these things through fruition, at least the end of this week anyway, since this is a weekly, and see where it takes you. Ultimately, the Bear card in this particular deck stands above this entry or this portal, and it's just the fear or the stubbornness that stops us from getting to where we need to go. So don't be stubborn. Don't be afraid. Don't go to sleep just yet. Do what you need to do to push to that next horizon. Let's pull one big metamorphosis, Chrysalis final word card. Not final word, but we're going to look at big idea. So what's the big idea? What do you really need to be focusing on? Why are we looking at all of this today? No pressure on the card, right? Okay, so we have the 10 of Wands. Really good here. So you're working hard to get to that final destination. And I think that for many of you, you may feel burdened by the journey. The 10 of Wands not always, but typically shows someone who is carrying a heavy load. And even though that path is clear, it's sometimes that very last mile or whatever leg of the journey that just feels like it's the longest, right? So keep pushing through. And what we see up here, in this deck, a lot of times the 6 of Wands is kind of like positioned up here. You can see a fire with all the sort of harvested awesomeness that they've been working on, and everyone's waiting for you to show up. So just know this, people are waiting for you, and your soul has been waiting for this moment. So don't give up. I do think that there may be a physical move for some of you, or some traveling that's going to be necessary because we see the home card being reversed, and then we see this card showing movement. So don't be afraid to do that if that's what feels right to you, okay? Ultimately, though, you're fine. There's a lot of responsibility on your back. There's a lot of pressure, but you can do this, and you're not doing it alone. That's one of the things that we saw time and again in a lot of the cards today. So I like what I see here, and I feel like you're right on the right path. The only things that surprised me that showed up today were like the 7 of Swords. So being honest with yourself, making sure that you trust people around you, honesty in general and transparency is key. And then also not giving into fear is going to be also really important. But ultimately, as I thought, you've got nowhere to go but up, and the movement is taking you in the right direction. So I'm happy about what I see. All right. All right, we have two more parts, and they're brief now. You've gotten to the end part of the reading, but just two more things. I like to do a meditation, but right after the meditation, I answer one more card for you. So do me a favor, because when I was thinking of stuff in my dreams this morning, I didn't write one down, and it took me forever to bring it back. Just write down a word or two, whatever you want me to look at, and then we'll meditate. We're going to go through that phase of like spreading our wings here, and then I'll pull the final card. So I always like to let you choose which instrument. So let me know which instrument you'd like me to use. We can use the crystal pyramid type, or we can use the singing bowl. And there you go. This is the crystal pyramid. It sounds like wind chimes. And singing bowl is behind me. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a crystal bowl that I use, and it's kind of one continuous tone instead of a bunch of different tones. So either one of these is fine. So it's this, and it's connected to the pineal gland. So I'll let you vote on those. A couple of quick notes as we do that. If you like today's video and you're brand new, please hit the subscribe button. I'd like to see the channel continue to grow so I can do more of those Q&A videos and I can reach more people. The thumbs up helps a lot as well. And if you happen to be watching this on replay, leave a comment below. Let me know what you liked about it. All of that engagement helps the video be served up a little bit so more people can find it. And again, everything that I talked about, all the cards that I wrote down anyway, they'll be on social media later. You can click on the pinned comment if you'd like to. And if you were kind enough today to give back, I will say thanks at the very end. You can still do that even after the meditation by clicking on that. And thanks also works if you're watching on replay. All right, looks like by a very narrow margin, today we're going to get the crystal pyramid. It's been the singing bowl the last few days, so let's do that. Okay, thank you for voting, for everyone that voted. Let's take a couple moments just to collect our thoughts and get ready for the meditation. If you've never been here, just stick around. This only takes about 2 minutes, but it helps integrate all the messages. All right, get comfortably seated. Sit back in your chair if you need to. Just put me on speaker. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Let go of anything that you're holding on to. Relax your posture, but keep that height that you found in your body as you were stretching. If you'd like to, imagine that you are a caterpillar, gently making your way up the trunk of a tree, finding just the right branch to perch on for a moment. And before you enter into the chrysalis, I want you to take a look at everything that you've done. A caterpillar is known for consuming. So look at all the stuff that you've kind of absorbed and taken into your life, everything that brought you to this moment. The good stuff, the challenges, it's all been here for a reason. And in this moment in time, I just want you to find some peace with understanding that there's never a mistake cosmically. And there's this sort of sense of peace and acceptance that comes through as you look back at what was. Imagine what it is that you need to do, the new you. And as we looked at the cards today, the new you is about moving up, seeing something from a different perspective, possibly moving on. Not getting defensive like the bear card, protecting what matters most to you, and really allowing yourself to spread your wings. So start to build your chrysalis, that gentle protection around you that's going to allow you symbolically during this meditation to make the final change. So for some of you, the final change may be, I accept myself. For some of you, the final change may be, I am worth what I want to achieve. And other people will want to receive this. For some of you, it's just imagining what might be possible, because you never give yourself a chance to think, what do I like? What makes me happy? You're always worried about others. So spend this time in this chrysalis or cocoon-like energy to, in this private, protected, sacred space, start to change your mind, change your heart, change your thoughts, and start to move forward. I'm going to play the singing pyramid now, and I just want you to relax Enjoy the sounds and allow your thoughts to bring forth whatever advice or imagery they need to for the next part in the journey. We'll come out of the chrysalis when we're done, and then I'll read your final question. Imagine now that as you're in this protective, energetic shell, that you can feel newfound wings start to sprout, start to form. You feel a lightness in your being that didn't exist there before, a sense of possibility. I can do this. Feels like it's the right time. I'm ready. Feel resolved. Feel a sense of conviction as well, that you will see it through to fruition. And then start to push through the chrysalis around you. The first step is always the hardest, but with each push, with each movement, more and more of the chrysalis breaks away, and it gets easier and easier for you to see why you've been doing what you're doing, that you're exactly where you need to be at this point in time, that the breakthrough, the epiphany, has changed your perspective, that you can now see a new dimension, a new possibility, a new you. And I want you to work on accepting, celebrating, and making friends with this new you. When you're ready, you can tell other people about it. You can start to allow it to be seen. All right, gently open your eyes. Welcome back. Spread those wings and fly to today and this week, and keep me posted in the progress as you're starting to move through it. We're going to now look at the final card. The final card comes as you meditate on your question or read it, whatever you wrote in front of you. And I'm just going to pull a card and see what energy is surrounding this final question. And guess what we got? The Bear, Judgment. And guess what? Judgment was reversed. So I'm very happy that it came through. You can't really control these things. So interesting that both of the bears were reversed. And I mentioned how this energy worked. Okay, so we've got a lot to unpack with this. As a yes, no, this is a really interesting thing. Only when you're ready to accept and believe in yourself can it be a yes. Disbelief is standing in the way of the yes, but there's a yes there. So you have to see it, you have to believe it, and you may have to work past someone else's no. Someone who you hoped or thought would see the affirmative, they're seeing the negative. So overcoming the negative, the disbelief is important. The Great Bear or the Judgment card is rebirth. The whole reading today is about Chrysalis, which is a rebirth. It's one thing coming in, another thing coming out. It's happening in the same lifetime. We don't have to change. You don't have to die to make this happen. So there is a path open to you. Now you can see the connection between these two cards. I said before that I feel like the bear is guarding one of these doorways. This could be you walking out of the other side. So some of you can already see where you're headed, but there's something holding you back. Your disbelief or others. So I want you to believe. Believing is seeing. Believing creates magic. If you believe, then it's possible. And then I want you to accept and decide to move on and then see yourself in that new light. This is transformation just as much as death is. This is the rebirth. This is the phoenix rising from the ashes. So I would probably put a chrysalis on the death card, and I would put either the butterfly on this, or I would put like the phoenix on this. They're very similar, but this is probably the end stage of it. So you're at that end stage, but you haven't spread your wings yet. So I feel like the oracle in the Matrix, where she said, "You're the one, but I don't know why you don't believe it." And until he believed it, he couldn't be the one. So you've got what it takes to go to that next part of the journey, but you have to see it and you have to believe it. Okay. Also, if you got a big no in your life somewhere, there's a yes coming through, but it may not be the way you expected it. The timing got moved around. The order in which you thought things would happen have shifted. Want to say hi, Apollo? Apollo's coming in for the end. Because he knows I'm going to take him on a walk soon whenever I play the singing bowl. He just got his haircut. So anyway, I hope that makes sense for all of you, that it's time, and Apollo can see that it's time for you to step into the new you and to let people see it and not worry too much about it, okay? All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I have my hands full right now, but if you go to the pinned link, you can see my schedule. I'll be back again this week. I've Gemini and Cancer will be the next two up. I'll be doing that on Monday and on Thursday, and I believe Leo on Friday. Let me just go ahead real quick and give you a link to my schedule, and then I'm going to say thanks to those of you that were kind enough to give back. So yes, indeed, here's the upcoming links. I'll make sure that I put Leo's link up too, so you can set a reminder later today. So sorry about any of the confusion over the time zones. I don't control those, but indeed they bother all of us, I'm sure. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Again, think about hitting the like and subscribe and sharing this and telling other people about the channel. I'd love to see it grow so I can reach more people. And I want to thank you for being a part of the 300K celebration. It's still on my channel if you missed it. So feel free to check it out if you haven't. All right. Let me go ahead and take a quick moment to say thanks to everybody that was able to give back a little bit today. Participation alone is appreciated, but I'm going to thank the people that went a little bit above and beyond right now, starting with some new channel members here. So it looks like we had a bunch of folks that joined today. I'm not sure how to say this name. I'm going to say it as Ninfa. Welcome. Good to have you. Charlene Fox, Jonathan Verge, Scott Golan, and Michelle Miller. Welcome, all of you. It looks like we had a bunch of folks that just joined today. Good to see you. All right, so let me say thank you also to those of you that gave back in the form of a super sticker or super chat. And give me one moment to pull this up. Here we go. All right, let's begin with Cass. Thank you. I say you gave a couple times in a row. I appreciate that. Touche B, always at the beginning. Good to see you as well. AB, Tamilian, Leslie, Crystal, Megan, Susie S, or Susie's, Sunflower, happy birthday. Happy to have you here on your birthday. Tara, Beth Ann Shannon, Shelly, Kristen Hatfield, Rebecca, thank you so much for the $49. I appreciate that, 99 cents. Much appreciated. Scott, Miss Optimistic, Brynhilder, Patrice W, Stella Morris, good to see both of you. I know you're here all the time. Megan Pompou, Chioko, Kathy Aaron, Alice Felice, Simone Muller, Perul, Mary Jo, Linda, Ralph Guzzo, Denise, Lavina, Ralph, again, thank you very much. 62 and Sunny, good to see you again as well. Yas, Yas, KK, Priyanka, Susan M. Let's see, Mauricia, I hope I said that correctly. Robin, Stella Morris again, thank you very much. Rosen Bloom, the Mad Monica, Annie, BM Tong, Special K, again, Rosen Bloom, Angie Lorenzen, and Julie Ann Ski. I think I said everybody, unless there's some folks here at the end that gave back here. Miss Baxter, thank you. Good to see you again. I think I got everyone. All right. What a fantastic sort of choice of messages for today. Really great reading. And love that we got the bear coming through a couple of times, reminding you to not be intimidated, to believe in yourself, to find the yes out there, because there is a yes waiting for you. Okay. Lots of love and light. See you back here tomorrow to look at Gemini, and have a great week ahead. And again, if you missed the Q&A, I just did it on Friday. You can watch it. I actually linked each and every question, and you can just go into the comments or the pinned post on my community page and look at that. All right, everyone, take care. Thank you to Dakota and Maria for your time and energy today as well, and moderating. Much appreciated. Bye-bye.